He's made a film of his point of view of what happened, and look what it occurs in America. Near riots, some riots.
Well, that's not true either, really. The film was pretty much accepted by, I would say, 99% of the white public. The only opposition to it was made by the fledgling NAACP, was only formed in 1909 and had almost no members, and was actually white-sponsored with a few black figureheads in there. And they made a big fuss about it. But all you would really read and everything else, almost 90-some% people thought the film was accurate and that the film was great, and that only a lunatic fringe thought it was awful. You read it in every review, and you can see it that senators and governors are praising the film. It wasn't that this was a no-no.
Some of them were Klansmen.
Someone, the Supreme Court guy, White, wasn't Justice White? I used to be in the Klan. We had still a Klan guy here in the 30s with Roosevelt.
But the film, even when they reissued the film in 21, it's causing a lot of harm. It's causing, and it's.
Well, I don't know how you can say it. In what way is it causing harm? It's certainly not helping the image of the blacks. That's sure. Whether it's in that sense, it's causing harm. But the same people who opposed it in 1915 are still opposing it, and most of the people thought it was fantastic. Now, the only really it changes when we have the civil rights stuff coming in the 60s. That really makes a change. But the only people who really made use of this was the NAACP and the Communist Fringe in the 30s, who made a big fuss about it. And they weren't for the blacks. The Communist Party were just trying to stir up a little trouble, and it's a good way to get an edge.
Why is Griffith's name off of an award? Why doesn't anybody want to say his name? Why did everybody think?
I think it's mostly through political correctness and ignorance, frankly. If you want to take names, often we should not have a Woodrow Wilson scholarship, because Woodrow Wilson did a lot worse for the blacks than Griffith ever did. And Woodrow Wilson still considered a saint. And you can... maybe, President Roosevelt certainly wasn't for wanting the Jews led into America just prior, during the Second World War. They said, we don't want them here. And Hitler said, yeah, they all talk about you Jews, but no country wants them. I mean, and that in a sense is an ugly truth.
If Griffith didn't make the berth, do you think Hollywood would have been any different? Louis B. Mayer, anybody else would have treated blacks any different?
No. No, what the Birth of a Nation succeeded in doing is that you could not treat any black as a serious person anymore. The best you could do is they play a servant. So you're a Pullman porter, or if you were making a mystery movie, you're scared because you see a sheet on a chair, or you shiver, there's a ghost or something like that. The superstitious black, good for comedy.
That was all the stereotypes of that era.
All the way through the 40s. All the way through the 40s.
But they blame Griffith.
They blame, yeah.
He made 400 some odd movies, but because of one film.
Yes.
And how many blacks in America made films that are anti-white?
Well, a lot of the films made by blacks like that, what's it, Michelou? Too early in the day. Those films are not exactly pro-black either. I mean, he shows the black guy with the razor and the criminal side to it, and the unfaithful husband and all the rest of it. So you're not exactly getting a good positive image, even in films made by blacks for blacks, which is another thing that people don't want to say. Like slavery, for example, in Africa. Who sold the slaves to the white traders? Other blacks. The tribesmen would go into the other part of the country, or the ones they didn't like, and sell them to the traders. So the blacks were making business with other blacks selling them. They're selling their brothers off.
But the South was
And
also,
nobody wants to mention that either.
but the South also was afraid that, okay, now they're all free, they're going to get back at us for 300 years of problems.
Well, I don't know whether they would go back, but I mean, there's all kinds of jealousy. What do you do with a talented, hardworking ex-slave, and you're a lazy, no good, stupid white? You're going to hate him just because he's doing better than you. I'm white and you're not, so I'll burn your building down because I don't like you. Because you're instead of sitting around drinking all day, you're actually out there making your little farm work. I mean, there was a lot of jealousy that way too.
Did the birth set back relations between black and white?
I don't think it helped relations any. That's sure enough. But I don't think that's what. Interesting. I mean, he made a film. Griffith made a film, America, released in 1924, and in it he wants villains, and the British in the Revolutionary War are the villains. He's got them brutal, orgies, rapists, criminals. Now, is he racist in that? He needed bad guys. And the British were bad guys in some ways. Not that we were always, not that the American revolutionaries were always so great. You needed a villain. Now his second film, Red Man and His Girl, in Biograph, he's pro Native American Indians and against, and in Ramona, there's several others. He's very much that way. And yet, when you look at Battle at Elderbush Gulch, the Indians are the bad guys. You needed a bad guy, you got one.